All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely transform how you look at the importance of analytics in social media marketing. Seriously, if you've ever stared at a dashboard just full of likes and wondered, how on earth to explain that to your finance team, you're in the exact right place. We're moving away from the guesswork, the assumptions, and that endless, exhausting pursuit of viral moments. Instead, we're going to learn exactly how to turn your social channels into a predictable, trackable revenue engine. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Are the users you engage with online actually becoming paying customers? It seems like a pretty simple question, right? But it's the exact one that keeps marketing execs up at night. I mean, your organization is active on social media. You're posting, you're getting comments. But are the customers who engage with you there actually more valuable than the ones who don't? If you can't definitively answer that with hard data, well, you're essentially flying blind.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover number 1, the social ROI challenge. Number 2, beyond the vanity metrics. Number 3, listening versus analytics. 4, linking social to your CRM. And finally, number 5, the predictive analytics revolution.
Section 1, the social ROI challenge, proving bottom line value.
So this number is a massive wake-up call. According to the 2025 Sprout Social Index, 65% of marketing leaders urgently want to see direct connections between social media campaigns and actual business goals. The days of simply showing your leadership team a bump in followers and, just expecting them to hand over your budget, those days are over. They want to see quantifiable cost savings and real, actual revenue generation.
But here's the massive disconnect. A joint report by Hootsuite and Altimeter found this absolutely staggering statistic. Only 10% of marketers say their organizations actually sync their social data with their CRM systems. Think about that. While 65% of leaders are demanding to see the bottom line impact, a mere fraction of marketing teams actually have the structural pipeline in place to prove it. Most are literally leaving their very best data stranded right there on the social platforms.
But hey, getting this right is entirely worth the effort. The average return on investment for social media marketing across most industries is roughly 3 to 1. And when we look at paid social campaigns, a 5 to 1 return is often the standard expectation. So the money is literally sitting there, provided, of course, you can measure it and attribute it correctly.
Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 2, beyond the vanity metrics, from likes to revenue.
So, expert marketing teams are prioritizing a highly specific set of metric categories right now to prove their value. They aren't just looking at random numbers anymore. They're tracking audience growth over time to ensure relevance. They're monitoring customer satisfaction through response times and sentiment and measuring overall brand health. But crucially, they're zeroing in on social media ROI, deep engagement rates, and paid social conversions. These are the categories that actually inform real data-driven decision-making, rather than just, patting ourselves on the back for getting a few retweets.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how this conceptual framework perfectly maps the actual journey of a customer. We start up at the top with surface-level engagement metrics, your likes, your shares, your comments. But watch how the interactions flow downward. Those initial clicks drive consumer behavior, which influences brand perception and purchase decisions over time. And then that ultimately funnels all the way down to the bottom tier, financial performance. That manifests as real revenue growth and long-term customer retention. This visual right here is basically your blueprint for understanding how a casual comment today becomes a signed contract tomorrow.
To put a really fine point on it, we have to sharply contrast vanity metrics with actionable KPIs. I mean, high follower counts might look fantastic on a quarterly review, but without proportional engagement, they're just a misleading vanity metric that creates a totally false impression of brand influence. On the right, though, we see what actually matters to the business: conversion rates and customer acquisition costs. Those are the numbers that keep the lights on for sure.
Moving right along to Section 3, listening versus analytics, understanding the difference.
Think of it this way. Social listening is what you do at the preliminary stage. It's how you audit the broader environment, understand customer sentiment, and really form the foundation of your strategy. You're literally listening to the conversation happening around your brand. Social analytics, on the other hand, well, that's how you prove if that strategy actually worked. It's the hard measurement of content effectiveness and historical benchmarking. You absolutely need both of these to run a successful operation.
Here's a brilliant example of using those analytics to solve real-world business problems. So Sprout Social reviewed the performance analytics of their own customer support team, and by spotting gaps in the data and understanding exactly when and how their audience was engaging, they were able to decrease their customer support response time by an impressive 55%. That is a massive operational win. And they didn't do it by just hiring a bunch more people. It was driven entirely by analyzing their social data.
That brings us to Section 4, linking social to CRM, closing the loop.
So here's the actual operational process for turning an online engagement into a quantifiable business asset. Step 1, you start by using your CRM lists to hone in on custom audiences so your ads are reaching the exact right people. Step 2, once they engage, you don't just leave them hanging out there. You capture them as trackable leads in your system. Step 3, from there, you map out their multi-touch customer journey across all your platforms. And finally, Step 4, armed with all that rich behavioral data, your sales team can step right in and convert those trackable leads into paying customers.
I really want to emphasize that third step, mapping the multi-touch journey. Look, customers rarely buy after a single click, right? They might see a social ad on Tuesday, read a blog post on Thursday, watch a YouTube review over the weekend, and then finally buy from an email promotion next month. If you only track the last click, you are missing out on the massive hidden value of your social media efforts. In fact, when the Sprout social marketing team shifted to a multi-touch attribution model, they uncovered an absolutely staggering 5,800% increase in additional pipeline impact that their social channels were silently generating all along. Literally, no way you want to miss out on that.
And now we enter our final section, Section 5, the Predictive Analytics Revolution, looking forward. So the crucial point is understanding this big shift. Traditional analytics are descriptive and diagnostic. They look backward. They answer questions like, what happened and why did it happen? But predictive analytics, which are powered by machine learning, they look forward. They answer the million-dollar question, what will happen next?
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, predictive analytics is basically a data-driven approach that takes your historical info and uses machine learning to forecast future customer actions, how campaigns will perform, and where market trends are heading. Instead of simply reacting to the market after the fact, you're anticipating it way before your competitors even know what hit them.
Let's look at the mechanics of how this works behind the scenes. First, machine learning models process vast amounts of historical data and past interactions. Second, they identify deeply hidden patterns that a human analyst, just staring at a massive spreadsheet, would almost certainly miss. Third, as new data comes in, the model applies what it learned. And fourth, it instantly forecasts future behavior and calculates the exact probability of a conversion. It's essentially teaching computers to recognize patterns in what made past customers buy, so you can precisely locate similar customers right now, today.
And this brilliantly illustrates the hard, real-world impact of these technologies. These aren't just fun theories. For example, one e-commerce brand used propensity modeling, which, by the way, just means identifying customers whose behavior signals they're mathematically ready to buy again, and they used it to increase repeat purchases by 34%. A software company used churn prediction to flag at-risk customers 45 days before they actually canceled, reducing churn by 28% and saving $2.3 million. And a clothing retailer used demand forecasting to predict their exact inventory needs, reducing their markdowns by 12%.
Which brings us to our final thought. Right now, as we speak, your audience is generating millions of data points every single day. The data's out there. The technology is absolutely available. So the only question left is, are you simply going to keep listening to the past, or are you ready to start predicting the future? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this completely changes how you view your social media strategy. See you next time.